Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I believe we're going to see Bitcoin crash down below $5,000, and I'm going to explain in this video 4 reasons why I think that could happen. Now, keep in mind, right now, Bitcoin's setting at just over $20,000. I do genuinely believe that it could go much, much lower. However, nothing that I say in this video should be considered financial advice. I'm simply a cryptocurrency enthusiast. I'm long-term optimistic on crypto and Bitcoin, and this is important for me to explain to you in this video. I'm just sharing you what I think could happen over the next year to next 18 months with the price of Bitcoin and or cryptocurrency at large. However, I believe long term will be okay. The problem is we're going to be in one heck of a storm coming up. Now, when I say Bitcoin could go down below 5,000, a lot of people would tell me that, they're like, well, you're crazy. Bitcoin can't go that low. Bitcoin's never dropped that far off of all-time highs. Most people, many people in this space are familiar that Bitcoin drops about 80 to 85% every 3 years. I'm talking about a drop or from all-time highs of over 95%. I believe that can happen because I believe we've got some extraordinary circumstances that are shaping up that's going to create, unfortunately, a perfect storm for a horrible crypto winter, crypto desolation, crypto Siberia, whatever you want to call it. Now, if you disagree with anything I'm saying in this video, do me a favor and let me know down in the comments. But as my viewer, I want you to be aware of where my thoughts are so you can do your own research and create your own thoughts as well. Because as someone who believes long-term in the crypto markets, I'm still an investor. But you've got to adjust your investing plan accordingly, and I'll talk about how I'm adjusting my investment plan a little bit later in the video. So the number one reason, one of 4, that I believe that we can see cryptocurrency markets, Bitcoin price in particular drop, is because of coming regulations. Now, there's 2 main reasons I could see regulations coming right now, outside of the fact the U.S. government doesn't want any competition, yada, yada, yada. My last video talked about the end of Voyager, BlockFi, and Celsius, and I talked about the centralized lending platforms basically making horrible decisions with the funds that they had, horrible risk management. It is just unreal at the amount of risk they took on. I'll link this video above if you want to watch it. I'll try to remember to put it down in the description as well. It's 17 minutes. It's pretty short, probably shorter than this video, but I encourage you to watch this. Because of what's happening with Voyager, because of what's happening with BlockFi, because of what's happening with Celsius, I think we're going to see a lot of people practically begging for government regulations. And I think these regulations are not good for crypto, and I think they're not good for the price of crypto overall. But I think that we're definitely going to see the regulations. This particular article says why the crypto crash is fueling calls for regulations. Existing bills and the human toll is creating a perfect storm. Cryptocurrencies have thrived, positioned themselves as an alternative to the traditional financial system. But the ongoing crypto crash, which has seen market plunge, investors madly selling assets, and even a bank run, is reigniting calls to regulate the freewheeling industry. In other words, the crypto crackdown is coming, and what emerges could look much more like the traditional banks, stock markets, and investments that the industry has long disparaged. I think that is absolutely correct. But I believe that we're going to see the average investor asking for regulations. The average investor has lost funds, and they want to be made whole. If nothing else, it's a way for politicians to argue that for your best interest, we're going to attempt to protect you. So therefore, we're going to regulate the one crypto asset or the one financial instrument that you have available to you that really helps you level the playing field, and we're going to regulate it. So therefore, we can keep this playing field primarily available for the super wealthy and the politically connected. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent. As you can see, I don't think regulations are going to be good overall for the cryptocurrency market. The second reason that we're going to be having regulations is because Russia and China are trying to create their own reserve currency. Now, if you're not familiar with the terminology reserve currency or world reserve currency, let me just explain it this way. Right now, the US dollar is the world reserve currency. This means that governments have agreed that if they are doing international trade, in many instances, they will trade using the US dollar exclusively. The best example of this is oil. It doesn't matter if you are Russia trying to buy oil from OPEC, or China trying to buy oil from OPEC, or Brazil trying to buy oil from OPEC. At this point in time, you have to buy oil with US dollars. This allows the US government to be able to do some incredible things, primarily carry more debt than any other country ever has in the history of mankind, because they can always print money to pay their debts. It's part of the problem that we're in now. It's actually partially why Bitcoin was ever created in the first place, because Satoshi Nakamoto did not like the idea that the federal government could print their own money at will. He thought it hurt the average citizen. I would agree with him. And so he created something like Bitcoin that would ultimately, in the long run, allow people to be able to opt out of traditional finances and traditional economics. I believe that still is going to be the case, but it's going to have to get bad enough that people are willing to break various rules, laws, and regulations, which I think we're a long ways from that happening. I'll get more into that a little bit later in the video. If Russia and China does create a reserve currency, that's going to be horrible for the U.S. The U.S. government is going to want to defend their own central bank digital dollar. The way they're going to do that, I think, is they're going to create laws regulating stablecoins, meaning I think that we could see them require all stablecoins to prove that every dollar in stablecoin they have a liquid US dollar asset available, whether it's US dollars or something that is easily sold for US dollars. The problem with that is a regulation that I don't believe any stablecoin can provide long term. Not one. I don't think there's one stablecoin on the planet. I don't think there's one company on the planet that could produce a stablecoin that could back it by liquid US dollar assets long term. If the US government can't even back their own their own currency by gold, and the only way they can back their currency is to print more of it and claim that the federal government is backing it with no proof of such backing of any kind, other than the ability to collect taxes, which is what the U.S. government does, by the way. That is exactly, the U.S. dollar isn't actually backed by any single asset, other than the U.S. government's ability to collect taxes and the ability to print more and the ability to issue more debt. If that sounds crazy, that's just the financial system that we currently have. So I think that they're going to create regular stablecoin regulations. And if they create these stablecoin regulations, that is horrible for the crypto market at large. I think it's going to cause an enormous crash in the price. I told you earlier that I thought it was a combination of all these things together that could cause the price to drop below 5,000. But if we see USDC, USDT, and other stable coins regulated to the point that they can't exist legally, I think we're going to see that alone could cause the price of Bitcoin to drop well below 5,000. We're talking about regulations coming about because of Celsius, BlockFi, and Voyager. We're talking about regulations coming about in the stablecoin space. And I don't think either one of these two areas, if we have additional regulations, I personally don't think it's good for the average cryptocurrency investor. Therefore, I don't think it's good for the price of Bitcoin long term. Number 3, since we already talked about stablecoin regulations, I think that is a impending, notice I didn't say if, I think it's an impending collapse of USDT. If you have not seen this video by CoffeeZilla, I recommend that you watch it, Exposing Tether, Bitcoin's biggest secret. I'm not subscribed to his channel, and I'll tell you why. A lot of his crypto content has errors, and he never corrects the errors, and he doesn't even address them in his comments. And if you comment about them, he'll delete your comments. So I think that's just a little bit shoddy, even though he comes off as incredibly credible in his videos. This particular video is well done. Like, it is phenomenal. So I'm going to link this video above. I'll put a link in the description. I highly recommend that you watch it. It's going to blow your mind if you recognize what's going on with USDT, and most people don't recognize what's going on or what's at risk. Combine that. Now, this explains the problems with USDT, but if you want to stay up to breast on what's happening daily, come over here to Bitfinex. This guy is all the time. Expose Bitfinex Tether as the largest financial fraud in history. I encourage you to follow Bitfinex and just take a look at his tweets. What he has to say is always pretty incredible and pretty insightful when it comes to USDT and Bitfinex. Reason number 3. Reason number 1 was regulations. Reason number 2 was the collapse of USDT. Reason number 3 is the fact of the recession that we have going on in the greater community or the greater economy right now. Right now we have incredibly high inflation. We haven't seen inflation this high in 40 plus years. And we've had people like Charlie Munger coming out warning about inflation. Charlie Munger says that inflation can be the way that democracies die. Down here he said he cited examples from the Roman Republic to Adolf Hitler to Latin America. Munger said inflation is a very serious subject. You could argue it is the way democracies die. And then look at this. He notes that it was after years of inflation when eventually the whole damn Roman Empire collapsed. So the current situation is the biggest long-range danger we have apart from nuclear war. Ladies and gentlemen, did you catch that? He is comparing this to nuclear war long term. That is scary, that is ridiculous, and that is crazy if you ask me. So I think that we have to be very, very careful as cryptocurrency investors. I do agree that inflation is horrible. And when you look at the inflation numbers, these are the official numbers. Inflation may be higher than this. There's a lot of things they can do to manipulate these official numbers. So inflation might be significantly higher than this. We're headed into a recession right now. I genuinely believe that we're going into a recession. I believe we're going into a very deep recession because the U.S. government is starting to cut interest rates, which they need to do. They need to get a handle on this inflation so we don't end up in this basically terrible situation that Charlie Munger is referring to. So they're going to have to raise interest rates to help cut down on inflation. Now they're raising interest rates incredibly high. When you raise interest rates aggressively, you can create a recession. In fact, I think it's practically guaranteed that they're creating a recession right now, and it could slip even into a depression potentially. Like, my bottom line is, I'm not trying to be a doomsdayer when it comes to the economy, but I think the economy is going to be incredibly weak. I think the fundamentals are there. I think that writing is on the wall. To me, I think it is very, very obvious. I'm someone who looks at some of these economic numbers, and I don't see how we avoid a very deep recession. With that being said, right now, the general public is not treating crypto like it's some sort of safe haven asset. And so what they're doing is they're retreating back into US dollars. That's crazy to think about. They're not even retreating back to gold. Gold prices have not, they're sitting at about where they were at a few months ago right now. So that's crazy to think about. People are selling crypto assets. And I think I understand it. I think they're selling crypto assets. I think people are even selling gold right now. I think they're selling stocks right now, trying to put food on the table, because we're in a situation where all of a sudden government stimulus is running out. At least in America, American families are having to put food on the table, and I think they're going to sell whatever assets they have to potentially be able to do that. And I think that's going to lead to a continued decline in the price of Bitcoin. Now, when it comes to investing in this space, before we get there, let me just say this. The general public still doesn't see, this is really reason number 4 why I think we're going into a crypto crash, Bitcoin going all the way down to $5,000. The general public still does not see Bitcoin or crypto as some sort of safe haven asset. Now, you may believe it's a safe haven asset of sorts. I may believe it's a safe haven asset. I do believe it's better than the US dollar personally, but the general market in crypto doesn't see that yet. They're here to speculate. DeFi boomed because it was all about people trying to find a way to get rich quick. And I get it. You know what's crazy in crypto? Think about this. If Bitcoin doesn't even go any lower, if it goes back to $60,000+, you're talking about a 3x. That could potentially happen over the next 3 to 4 years. Where else could you potentially 3x your money in 3 to 4 years in traditional finance? But if you were to invest in Bitcoin, that absolutely could happen. Now the price of Bitcoin may go down a lot lower before it goes back up. And I'm telling you in this video, I think it could go all the way down to $5,000 or lower. But people who are buying Bitcoin right now, they're just speculators. The people buying crypto, they're just speculating on price movements. They're lottery players. They're literally gambling because they have no fundamental thought process. Most of them can't do any form of technical analysis. They're just buying whatever they can buy. I literally had a guy tell me this weekend, "Oh yeah, I bought $100 of Luna." I said, "Luna Classic or the new Luna?" He's like, "Oh yeah, the old one. Wasn't it like $100 once before per Luna?" And I'm thinking to myself, why would you do that? Why would you do that? But somebody at work talking around the water cooler told me it might be a good idea. And he's like, "Hey, if it ever goes up to $10, I'm good." I'm thinking it's not going back up to $10. The fundamentals don't show any evidence that could even happen because somebody else told him. He doesn't even know what Luna was created for originally. He doesn't understand the exploit that happened with Luna. Again, you don't need to understand any of that when you're trying to play a lottery, when you're trying to gamble. And that's what most crypto investors are doing right now. And this is really reason number 4. We don't have a knowledgeable public who's ready to take ownership for their finances. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this video right now and you believe in the future of cryptocurrency and you believe that this is the wave of the future, congratulations to you. Do me a favor and smash that like button. Congratulations to you because you get it. But there's not yet enough people that get it. So we have to recognize as cryptocurrency investors, price is going to go down significantly. The price of this technology is going to go down significantly. And I think that I think it's going to go down, again, below 5,000. I genuinely believe that. Maybe I'm wrong. Save the video, bookmark it. Maybe I'm wrong. But I genuinely believe that's going to happen. And I want to recap why. Because of coming regulations related to what's going on with Celsius, BlockFi, and Voyager, I think a lot of citizens are going to request for more regulations. Plus, people were, dinged in DeFi by their own choosing. They made their own choice to go on these high-risk, sketchy programs, but they did it, and then it went south, and now they want regulations to somehow fix it and make them whole. I believe the U.S. government wants regulations simply for stablecoin to protect their own central bank digital currency or digital dollar. So I believe that there's 2 major reasons we're having regulations, and maybe even 2 different types of regulations, maybe several different types of regulations. But at the end of the day, we're going to be getting a central bank digital dollar. I think the third reason that we could see the price drop to below 5,000 is because of the collapse of USDT. If we don't get stablecoin regulations, which I feel like we're certain to get. But even if we don't, I believe it's possible we could see the collapse of USDT even before then. Third reason is because of the greater recession. If the Fed's starting to cut rates, it's going to create a recession, potentially even a depression. If that happens, most people right now are selling crypto to be able to put food on the table, to provide for the family, and to pay their bills. The fourth and final reason that we're going to see Bitcoin price drop below 5,000, and then I'm going to be talking about my investment strategy. The fourth and final reason is because the general public still doesn't see the value of Bitcoin. Most people are just speculating on it for price appreciation. They don't truly understand it fundamentally, why blockchain matters, why blockchain cryptocurrency matters, the differences in centralization and decentralization. And because of that, I believe we're going to have to wait for the general public to be in a position in which they really need Bitcoin to exist. And I think we're a long ways from that still. And by a long ways, I mean years. Personally, I think we're several years away from that. And it's a little bit frustrating. But now is the time to be picking up Bitcoin. You're thinking, well, how do you pick up Bitcoin? How do you invest into something that's dropped so much? I think you have to focus on two things: diversifying assets into prime holdings. What are the major crypto assets you want to hold no matter what? And then I think it's about creating passive income. If you can go down in the description, you can subscribe to our Crypto Passive Profits newsletter. The newsletter in and of itself is totally free. You'll see that there's actually even a course down there, how to earn $1,000 per day. And the idea behind, I'm not actually making $1,000 yet. I'm making like $14, but it's growing. And the idea is being able to earn passive income that is not directly related to the price of the underlying cryptocurrency, meaning being able to earn free Bitcoin regardless of whether the price of Bitcoin goes up or down, for example. And I believe being able to use diversification and not diversifying several things, by the way, diversify what you invest in, diversify the type of investment, also diversifying with your timeline. Like, if there's an investment that you're going to need those funds, or you're going to for something in the next 3 months or the next 6 months, that's a very different type of investment versus my cold wallet where I just buy Bitcoin and store it. And definitely that's a multi-year investment. And at the end of the day, I think that with good diversification and good money management skills, you're going to be just fine. By the way, everything that we bring in crypto is your speculation asset class. The other thing that you can do, by the way, is create a business where you earn crypto out in the business. And I'll talk about that in another video. If you want to watch that video, be sure to subscribe, smash that bell notification icon, and click the like button if you've liked this content. But ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, no matter what the price of Bitcoin does, I believe long-term crypto is going to do just fine. Long-term. We just got to get through whatever season we're going to come into. And if we get strong regulations that are not friendly to crypto, we may be in a crypto winter for a long time. But it doesn't matter, because for me, no matter how low the price goes, I'm going to always be a buyer, and I'm always going to do everything I can to earn passive income and passive crypto. I don't care if it's $5 or $10 or $500 or $5,000 in cryptocurrency. Long term, I believe in crypto. So whatever I can earn, I'm going to earn it. I'm going to hodl it. I'm going to dollar cost average. I'm going to continue to buy no matter what. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict how low exact the price is going to go. I told you in this video I thought it could go below 5,000. And I believe if we get additional regulations, if we see a collapse of USDT, if the recession, if we end up in a full-blown recession and or depression, and as long as we have a general public that doesn't understand the value of this technology, I don't see how we don't end up with Bitcoin below 5,000. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Decentralized cryptocurrency equals freedom. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.